Thank you, Councillor Gibson.
Yes, thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. Chair Guthrie. I wasn't prepared to do it either, but I'm pleased, very pleased, that people have dragged us into whether or not this was a political initiative to begin with and whether or not it was politically controlled to begin with. You're hearing back and forth of some say it's not, some say it was. Well, let me clear for you the history on this file for everyone watching at home here. It's important to note GMHI goes back 9 years in our city. In 2008, November 24th to be exact, council at the time struck a design team shortly after approving the Community Energy Initiative. They appointed a subcommittee to build the business case for Holdco, which would eventually turn into GMHI. On that subcommittee sat Karen Farbridge, Ian Finlay, Mike Salisbury, Bob Bell, and I just learned tonight, Leanne Piper. Fast forward to 2010, June 28th, that subcommittee brought forward their business case, and council at the time endorsed it. This formed GMHI, and we talked about a politically controlled board. 5 of the 8 members of that original GMHI board were politicians. They were elected officials. Controlling interest on an 8-member board, 5 votes. You could decide whether or not for yourself it was politically controlled. I have my feelings. On that board, that night, council appointed to the GMHI board Karen Farbridge, Todd Dennis, Liz Bircher, June Hofflin, and Carl Wetstein. You've heard Mr. Wetstein's comments already tonight. 5 of 8 members, politicians that were now had governing control over Guelph Hydro and all of its subsidiary companies at arm's length of City Hall. Councillor Billings mentioned that. It's a good thing no one believes you. And we've heard from Mr. Sardana tonight that these boards went through pressure. In the past, he's mentioned pressure and moral suasion to get on with district energy. So whether or not they want to decouple or couple district energy to GMHI, they cannot. It happened, and it is happening, and this is part of the resolution tonight. So forgive me if I take exception to Councillor Westein's comments, a founding member of the GMHI board. Forgive me if I take great offense to some of the comments that have come out since it started happening. Councillor Hofflin, I'm sorry, but I took offense to your comment on March 14th of this year in the Guelph Tribune, where you said you did not agree with Mayor Guthrie's concerns about transparency in GMHI. This is what we're dealing with. And that you didn't share his concerns and that you actually were concerned about his intentions for pursuing transparency on this matter. Forgive me if I take exception to those comments. And I'll tell you why I take exception. This was a well-sold plan. For a time, I bought into it. As a resident of Guelph, when I heard about district energy and GMHI, I thought it was a great idea. But since being elected, I've had my trust broken. And what I've learned has been broken. And I'm willing to stand here and say that with confidence. I believed in this, and now I don't. Because I know what it means when environmental initiatives, shrouded in secrecy or shrouded in a lack of transparency, fail. I know what it means to my profession. I know what it means to the integrity of the environmental movement, and I'm disgusted by it, and I don't like it. And that's why I speak out against it tonight. And it happens, and it erodes the public trust. If we want to see what public trust is doing right now on green energy in Ontario, just look at the confidence that the public has at implementing green energy initiatives in our province. This is what happens, and I am very sensitive to it, and that's why I speak so strongly against it. So the residents know who the designers were, who the executors were, who the implementers were, just like we all know, and people don't want to acknowledge that. But I'm committed, and thank you, Mr. Thompson, and to the team for bringing this forward, to continue to clean this up, rebuild the trust that's been lost in our city. I believe we can, and I believe it's this council's opportunity to do that through consensus building. And I'll finish by saying thank you, Mr. Thompson and the executive team, for your steady hand approach. It's been refreshing, second set of eyes on this file. And I wanted to acknowledge too, I am going to fully disagree with Councillor Westing on this, and the perseverance of our mayor over the last 2 years, bringing transparency to this file, under, as you can see, has been immense duress and stress to bring this forward and get some transparency on it. So that should be acknowledged, and I hope that drowns out the chorus of people saying that he's been a problem, because it's been the exact opposite. We wouldn't be here tonight if he wasn't working under that duress. Thank you, and I will be supporting the recommendation.